The Royals drop a crucial series to the Minnesota Twins. It is go time if it was ever go time for this team, and we'll see what they have as we look at this week. But we'll look back at the series that was, what went right, what went wrong, and go from there. Live now, One Royal Way. Back at it here on Kansas City Sports Network. I'm Joel Penfield. Thank y'all so much for tuning in. We are live here on YouTube as always on a Sunday night. Chris Palmer, as always, hopping in here. Series is brutal. Yeah. We'll get into it. Wasn't all terrible. Obviously, there were some things that I took away from this that are, interesting, intriguing, and the like. But we'll talk about it. We'll kind of spend the first half of the show on some of the issues and what went wrong. And then we'll talk about a couple of this, mainly the pitching performances from Bergert and Noah Cameron that I want to get into. And then preview the series against the Nationals coming up, and it's the biggest series of the year. What are you made of after dropping a series to damn near a AAA team in the Minnesota Twins? At least a AAA lineup, damn near it. Tough. The show is always brought to you by Emprise Bank, member FDIC, our partners and possible here at Kansas City Sports Network. And on this show, we can't thank them enough for that support that they've had over the last couple of seasons. Jordan Foote hopping in the chat. Glad to have you, man. Nick Springer behind the scenes, killing it as always has for me all season. I don't give him near enough credit for doing this 3 days a week with me and making it happen for all of this and popping in all your comments and paying attention to doing this. So thank you to everybody. I know that this is not necessarily the conversation that we thought we'd be having about this team, given the series that we saw. Before obviously the Red Sox series was tough. They play well in Toronto, and you're thinking, okay, this is where the schedule lightens up. Got to take advantage here, and they did. They got rocked on Friday. Seth Lugo had his worst start of the year by far, and when they absolutely needed him to be good because it was Joe Ryan on the mound for the Twins, and it looked like maybe they had a beat on him early. Yaz with the leadoff home run, but after that, really not much to speak of. Bobby hits a home run late, but the game was out of hand at that point. They needed a good start from Seth Lugo. I mean, that's why you extend him. It's why you pay him. It's why you want him here for those types of games, for the, hey, we got to have it type games. Or at least keep them in it until Ryan goes out, and then who knows. But that didn't even happen. And it's been a weird few outings for Lugo. Like, his game logs have not looked good. I know people have lumped in the Braves game in with this stretch for Seth Lugo, where we've seen his ERA go from sub-2 to up in the 3.5s. But I'm not necessarily there. I mean, he wasn't great against the Blue Jays, but I thought he was fine for the most part. Some of the walks were a little weird. But this game, it was just it was all contact mainly. The Twins were just selling out for contact and trying to put anything they could in play. Obviously, he gives up the home run to Wallner, and that, right after getting the lead, you end up getting tied right there. I mean, it's an issue. And it never felt like he never was able to get comfortable, never able to get into the game. I'm not necessarily concerned from a, is he hurt perspective. The spin rates and stuff are all within kind of tolerance of season averages, down slightly in spots, up slightly. So I think it's just game-to-game thing. Velo's not necessarily in a weird spot. He's also not a guy that necessarily relies on velo. In fact, his fastball was up a slight amount from season average. He hit a 95, average around 92. Slider was up way more. He was throwing it harder, almost like a cutter, to kind of go along with the true cutter that he throws. So not a lot to me that screams massive concern, but there's almost no swing and miss. And he's not a guy that relies on strikeout, swing and miss. It's a lot of trying to keep the ball in play, weak contact, not get hammered. But when you don't have that, the counter is if the batted ball luck is not in your favor and they're driving the ball and they have a beat on your game plan, despite throwing a billion pitches, it's not going to go well. And that's what happened in that game. The game today, I mean, I was listening mostly on the radio. I was on the golf course with my dad and a couple buddies playing around at Eggs weather was so nice. But obviously still paying attention, listening to the game, keeping track where I could. I'll be honest, and I'm not prone to hyperbole. I'm not prone to being, too up or down. It's a 162 game season. That was the worst game of the season. And we've seen some stinkers that they put up this year. This was an inexcusable, terrible game. You're going up against Jose Urena, who hasn't been a good major league pitcher in a half decade. You get a run off him early. You make him throw 60-something pitches in the first 3 innings with 1 run to show for it. And you had multiple chances to cash in more. I thought Berger threw the ball really well, and we'll get to him in a little while. And I thought, Ursig made two pitches that I thought were good, like the Austin Martin triple. Ray made a terrible defensive play, leads to a triple. But that pitch was like a ball and a half above the zone. And then he busts a fastball in on Ryan Jeffers off the plate. Dude got his barrel to it, like credit where it's due. The pitching wasn't the issue today. The offense was terrible. And when you get if you told me before the game that Benny was going to hit a home run with runners on, and that Adam Frazier was going to go 4 for 5, and Michael was going to get 3 hits, like, oh, hey, the Royals probably find a way to win that game. Not the case. You go 1 for 15 with runners in scoring position. You leave 15 on base, and you get to extra innings, probably undeservedly so, given how the offense performed. And you can't move the Manfred runner to third in either scenario. I mean, that's just awful. And I know that this offense has been super inconsistent, and the runners in scoring position stuff has fluctuated up and down, mostly been down to what we saw last year. The offense took a step up in July. This was a game where it's like, it was objectively bad and not playoff-worthy baseball. You don't deserve to win. Even if the Royals found a way to win that game, I still would have come in here and been like, yeah, they didn't deserve that one. They got away with it because they're playing the Minnesota Twins, who nuked their roster. But instead, you lose to a team that was playing their roster is just a bunch of guys that are, 40-man holdovers, guys that are, just trying to make it, break in a little bit. Like Ryan Fitzgerald is a great example, 31 years old, really getting his first shot in the big leagues. This is not me trying to take shots at the Twins because their ownership did this, their front office did this. This is not an indictment on the players. But Cody Clemens is 29 and he's kind of messed around between AAA and Alan Roden is a rookie that they're kind of high on, but again, he's a rookie. Mickey Gasper's a 29-year-old rookie. Ryan Fitzgerald is 31. He gets his first big league hit today. Good for him. Carson McCusker, he's an Oklahoma State guy. I loved watching him when he was in college. He didn't get to pro ball, to affiliated baseball until 2 years ago. He played an independent ball. Kexall, I'm probably saying his name wrong. Yeah, that guy's really good. They have some talent there. Obviously, Royce Lewis is talented when he's not hurt. Brooks Lee has some talent. And they have a hard time playing in Target Field to begin with. That's not the point here. When you look at the lineup that they rolled out today, the Royals should win that game. Especially even with Ryan Berger. There is a certain element of that. The Royals didn't match their want to. I get it. I don't know how to describe it, man. Because we see this offense, we see this team every once in a while, they put it all together. And it's okay. And even in a game on, I think it was on the Saturday game. I'm sorry, my brain bulbed out. Yaz in the leadoff spot, he goes a hard luck 0 for 3. He's hitting the ball hard. They have done a good job, I think, raising the floor offensively by moving India out of the leadoff spot. But that doesn't mean that that floor is incredibly high. But it's better, more consistent, I think. But today was just one of those days where nothing would work. But it's one of those games that is an incredibly preventable thing. Finding a way to come through in some of these spots, they just flat out could not, and it's maddening. And especially if this was a game and it happened against the Red Sox, happened against the Dodgers, it happened against one of the better teams, okay. You tip your cap, whatever, you move on. Not in this scenario. I can't do that in this scenario, given what the Minnesota Twins have done to their roster and how they basically said, we're on to next season and the season after. And the Royals trying to win right now, and they couldn't do it. They couldn't win this series. I mean, it's inexcusable. in a lot of these, and I know that they'll say the same. Like, they know they have to be better. This is not, I'm not saying anything that's, out of the ordinary, not from what I know about those guys. Like, they are probably furious on this flight home, knowing that they gave this one away and that they have to come back. And it's desperation time when it didn't need to be against the Nationals and the White Sox. You got to go 5-1 or 6-0 to have a shot right now. And your playoff chances were already teetering. It was already a long shot, 4 back of the wild card. The Mariners playing lights out right now. The Red Sox playing well. The Blue Jays maintaining. The Guardians have kind of found a way, but your playoff chances, a week ago plus were like 12, 13%. Like, it's not high, but think about where the Tigers were last year. That's probably the scenario that they're looking at. Like, it can happen, right? Down to 6% now. And even if they go 5-1, 6-0, or 6-0, which has this team showed that they can rip that off right now? I don't think so. See, we would have banged up Bobby Wood Jr., who didn't play today. Vinny has taken a step back in the last couple of weeks. I think he'll figure it out. He's very batted ball oriented, like gets a few extra hits to fall. It looks a little different. Salvi has kind of gone back down a little bit, and, we haven't seen the power as much in the last handful of games. Like, I don't know. But it's desperation time. We'll figure it out. But, it's getting late early now, when it looked like a week ago this was their chance to really make a run and see what they're made of. Not a great indicator this weekend against the Twins. We'll see what they do against the Nationals, if they're able to get off the mat. Given what I've seen from this team the last couple of years, really outside of that the month of June, I think in the long run, Nate, I agree. I don't know how you come back from that. Like, we'll see. The first game against the Nationals tomorrow is going to tell us a lot about the psyche of this team and where they're at. What I have seen from this team generally over the past year plus is they do a really good job of kind of putting the previous day away and just coming fresh tomorrow, clean slate. And I think that's part of why I don't think Q is the village idiot like a lot of people do, because a lot of being the job of a manager is managing the people in your clubhouse, right? Because a lot of the decisions that come in are pre-made. Like that's just the way this works, people. And I think that is one of the qualities that makes him a solid manager. We'll see what they're able to do, but I don't know. This could end up being the June backslide that we saw again, given what we saw in this series. They've done a really good job often of turning the page and going, hey, we got to get in tomorrow. We'll figure it out. But when you lose a series like that in the fashion that you did, we'll see if it has a lingering effect. And if they let today's game beat them twice, then we may be talking about it being really done. And we'll see where it goes. I do want to hit a couple of things that were positive from the week so that this isn't just 30 minutes of rambling about how terrible everything is, because that's not always the case. But we'll do that right after this break.
Looking for tickets for your next event? Tickets for Less is your #1 source. Save big on every purchase when you use promo code KCSN at ticketsforless.com.
Success in real estate takes more than vision. It takes the right financial partner. When someone takes something rundown and turns it into something great, that's called a comeback story, like Brain Group. They take distressed properties here in KC, completely rework them, and then turn them into valuable real estate. But that kind of work needs the right bank behind it. Enter Emprise Bank. They're not about cookie-cutter loans. They saw Brain Group's vision, backed them, and now they're making big moves in Kansas City real estate. Talk about your partner in possible. Emprise doesn't do one-size-fits-all financing. They invest in potential and back growth. Visit emprisebank.com/KC to learn more. Emprise Bank, member FDIC, equal housing lender.
Sure to hit that like button and subscribe button, everybody. I do appreciate those that are hanging out in the chat. It's, a lot of the usual suspects, Nate Thomas, Chris Palmer, Curtis Nelson, Taco Belmont's always in here as well. Super Mo as always. So thank you guys very much for being, loyal on these live shows and being a part of the conversation. It really does mean a lot to me. I do want to hit on a couple of things from this week that takeaways And a lot of it is obviously on the pitching side because that's what has driven this team for the last couple of years. But I was, again, incredibly impressed with Noah Cameron on Saturday in a 2-0 win. And a lot of it is some of the things that we've discussed. Like, it's not a flashy sort of profile. Like, if he threw, and I talked about it with Jason Anderson a while back about why maybe people aren't talking about Noah Cameron enough this year and what he's done. If he threw 97, I think there'd be a little more conversation about it because people are just like, velocity is obviously just something that, gets casuals to pay attention. That's why Jacob Mizorowski makes the All-Star team after 5 starts because the guy throws 102. Like, that's cool. People want to tune in and see that. Noah Cameron throws 89-92 with a bunch of different pitches, and he mixes and matches, not a bunch of strikeouts, but just kind of gets the job done. Like, not as flashy, not as sexy, but the guy gets the job done. And there's a lot to be said for that. And and this start was emblematic of a lot of that. Confidence in all 5 pitches. It's working counts, being as efficient as possible, and getting the strikeout where you need it. And now, to me, is an indicator of where he is as a pitcher and knowing who you are, right? Like, there is sometimes that Cole Reagans can be frustrating to watch because you can tell there are times where he does chase strikeouts. Like, he knows I'm just going to try and throw this by the guy, and it ultimately leads to pitch inefficiency, walks, whatever. And that's not me trying to take a shot at Cole Reagans. It's just what I observe. Noah Cameron doesn't do that. He's just like, he's either going to try and get an early count out or he may try and get you to chase, in an advantageous count. But he's going to get you just, hey, here's a cutter, man. So I'm going to saw you off and then get your ground ball, get out of the inning. And he did get knocked around a little. He got hit around a little bit in this game, and there weren't a ton of swing and miss. But when he needed it, he was able to get the strikeout. He was able to go for the kill with 2 strikes and get out of the inning. Think of the strikeouts that he had. I'm going to make sure I get his line here. My apologies. I had it pulled up and hit the wrong thing. It was only 4 strikeouts, but I think 3 of them came as the final out of the inning to get out of it. He got Royce Lewis a couple times. He got another, strikeout with a guy on. I mean, it's an impressive kind of throwback sort of style. And I love watching him pitch. It's one of my favorite things because not trying to make anything of my playing career, but I was a left-handed pitcher that didn't throw real hard, but I had, decent enough command, and I was just going to get you out. I was going to hit my spots. Like, Noah Cameron does that. It's a very similar quality. And so I like watching guys with elite pitchability, elite command, and confidence in all their pitches to be able to get anybody out in any count. It says a lot about a guy that just comes in and goes, you know what, I'm not going to change who I am. I'm not going to try and, run up this crazy velocity and try and chase a bunch of strikeouts, to try and help my numbers. Like, I'm just going to get this done. Like, there is a lot to be said for what Noah Cameron does. He should be in the conversation for Rookie of the Year. He's not going to win it because Nick Kurtz in Sacramento for the A's is going nuts, and he's had one of the best rookie seasons we've seen in recent memory. I feel like we're saying that almost every year about rookies now, and I think that just shows like the talent that baseball is getting to churn out. But he should finish top 3. Like, Carlos Narvaez is going to be in that conversation in Boston. He's been really good this year. Roman Anthony is going to be in it just because he plays for the Red Sox, and he's just got locked up to a big deal. Jacob Wilson's fallen out of it, but he's also been hurt, so he's not really going to have as much time anymore with these last couple of months to add to some stats. But Noah Cameron should finish in the top 3 here, which I believe falls into the PPI for the Royals. And if he gets that top 3, I believe he ends up, I believe that could be a comp pick like with Bobby last year. I'll need to confirm that, but that sounds correct in my mind. But what we've also seen, I mean, coming into the year with Noah Cameron, it was, let's see what he's got. Like, I think he can pitch in the big leagues, but I don't know what he's going to be. To now, he's probably your 3 next year, 3, 4, and a very comfortable, like, that's a very good 4, right? Theoretically, your rotation next year is Reagans, Lugo, Waka, and then Cameron Bubich, or Bubich Cameron, however you want to do it. I mean, it's still one of the, like, from a ceiling perspective, one of the better 5s, one of the better 5-man rotations in the league. And from a floor perspective, probably the best of just, what you're going to get most days. Then we'll see what they're able to do with Berger, Kolick, Falter. Like, it's going to be a really interesting conversation what they do with some of these guys over the next couple of years. But Noah Cameron has solidified himself as a guy that should be part of this rotation for a long time and can certainly be that for this team. The other part of Berger, I thought he threw the ball incredibly well today. And I liked some of the things that I saw from him in that start in Boston. He didn't have a ton of strikeouts, but like you could see flashes of stuff. And it's like, okay, like I understand why A, Kansas City coveted him, and B, why San Diego fans were like, why did we trade this guy? Like, he's a rookie, he's super talented. Why? Like, why did we do this? And that's not taking shots at Freddie Fermin. Like, I don't think that's their intention, but just like AJ Preller just took a scoop of pre-workout and started trading all his prospects. But with Berger, I love his fastball. And I like if he can get maybe just like a tick more velocity, he'd be really, really good. But even now, from like the release angle that he throws from, which is like a kind of that higher 3/4, at 93, 94 with 19, 20 inches of induced vertical break. I mean, it's really good. He had a good feel for the changeup today in spots. He threw it 11 times. It got 3 swings and misses. It was a 60% whiff percentage on it, five swings, 3 whiffs. The sweeper, they've tweaked quite a bit. Let me get the actual numbers for it. I think Preston Farr had it from Farm to Fountains about just like the actual metrics of what. Sorry about that. I clicked on the wrong thing. If anybody heard that. So here it is. So what they've done to Berger's sweeper is that the pitch is that it's now slower with 4 more inches of induced vertical break and -2 inches horizontal and 200 less RPM. Like it is almost a completely different pitch from what he was throwing. Oh, it's a change. It's this changeup, not a sweeper. I was looking at the wrong graphic. The changeup is a lot different now. There we go. I've got it. Sorry about that, folks. Regardless, they have tweaked his pitch mix. What I was trying to get to is that they've been able to tweak a couple of things, and it goes to that changeup having more success. The sweeper is still very good. He's spinning it a little bit more with a little less velo, and so it changes the style and shape of that pitch too. Brian Sweeney and Zach Bowe are so good at what they do, and it's why I still am high on them being able to figure out Bailey Falter. It's why I thought there's stuff to work with Berger, and I'm excited to see what Stephen Kolick does. To see his kid ball in the middle, but that's true for a lot of pitchers. Like there are very few guys that can work truly like just throw their stuff down the middle and get swings and misses. Like there are very few dudes in the league that can do that. Like Skubal, Skeens, Wheeler, Prime, Kershaw, Verlander, Scherzer, like they could do that. Not a lot of guys that can. But he gets enough. But he gets swing and miss in the zone too, which is an important quality to me. Like yes, I know the guys with really nasty stuff can get chase, right? But can you get swings and misses on your stuff in the zone? And he has the ability to do that as well. So I like what Ryan Berger brings. And he's going to be a part of this conversation too. Like what they're going to end up doing with some of these guys, I'm fascinated with because they have potentially 7 guys that they could start next season, 7 or 8, and there's only 5 spots. So do they convert a couple of guys to relievers? Do they do they trade somebody? Like I don't know. It's going to be a really interesting conversation. It's going to be a part of this because obviously, a lot has been made about the offense and what they need to do to tweak that. Totally understandable. But not enough. I think a lot of us missed the boat on the lack of true pitching depth that this team had because we just looked at the upper end, like who was available and who was in the rotation last year because they were so healthy. But now that depth was tested, they add to it. Now they have so much depth, and I'm like, I don't know what they're going to do. Chris brings up a great point here. A sneaky top 10, if not 5 pitching organization now. I think they're in that conversation. I think people around baseball are recognizing this too. This is where John Sherman's effect comes in. He was in the ownership group with Cleveland for a long time. What has Cleveland been forever? A pitching factory. They build their rotations from within. They just take or they bring dudes in, tweak their arsenals, and turn them into monsters. Like that has been so much of what has made Cleveland great forever. The problem is they also are not one of the better hitting development teams. So that may be the blind spot here. So that's where JJ has to come in, and because he was part of the change on the hitting side of a number of years ago when they brought in Drew Saylor for the minor league side to help fix Prado and MJ and Bobby and all these guys, along with Zumwalt. Like that was kind of the team. I think there may need to be some outside voices here to kind of just to add to it, because I think that the talent that this offense has, and like with certain players, I mean, it's unquestioned. But it's a matter of tapping into more of it and also raising the floor for certain offensive players. Because that's what a lot of the pitching development stuff is for this team is it's a floor raising thing. For some guys, it's ceiling raising, like Reagan's. But I do think there are guys that just need the floor raised a little bit. I think Bergert is one of those guys. I do think there's some more ceiling, but I think there's some of that. I think, Waka, it's a floor raiser, by tweaking his arsenal. Lugo, Lorenzen. I think Falter has some of that as well. And so it's not only there are certain guys like, there's more ceiling from Berisha, but it's also like, there's certain floor raisers. It's kind of like from that, like the high ceiling, low floor, or high floor, low ceiling quarterbacks that get talked about all the time. Like there's some elements of that to pitching and to hitting as well, when it comes to certain qualities of those guys. Hope that makes sense. I'm going. It's so funny for Nate. Yeah, 4 years ago, you said the organization developed bats and not pitchers. Yeah, and a lot of that was the Dayton Moore era. And because some of that, it was all cookie cutter. Like they were just trying to put everybody in like one mold, right? Like we're going to go sinker, slider, and we're just, we're going to turn you into this. You throw a fastball top of the zone, we want ground balls. Here, throw a sinker. Like, I don't know, man. Like the Royals do a really good job of taking a bunch of different types of pitchers and then maximizing what they have. And there are certain things that on the hitting side that I think Zumwalt does well. I know no one wants to hear that, but he does maximize guys' ability to hit the ball hard. And like there is a quality to that, right? Like teaching a guy to maximize the swing that he has to hit the ball hard. But there's also hitting development teams that are also able to tweak guys' bat paths to maximize everything about their swing and everything about the outcome. And that is not something that I think the Royals do well. So there's other things to add in here. I don't want to get into a whole conversation about, job security and things of that nature. But we'll see what this team has. And there's certainly still things beyond 25 to be optimistic about. It may be too little too late for this team, but we'll see. I mentioned earlier, like this is the biggest series of the year. This is the ultimate gut check for this team coming off of a terrible loss and a terrible game on Sunday. You get the Nationals coming in here. Your pitching matchups. So it'll be Cade Cavalli, who got a little bit of time a couple of years ago and then had Tommy John. He's just now coming back. And then Bailey Falter, hopefully, a bounce back for him against a much different lineup than he faced against the Boston Red Sox. Tuesday is going to be Mitchell Parker. I believe was his name. Yeah, Mitchell Parker. Him and let's see. He's at 5.43 ERA, 7-12 record if you care. And then Michael Wacha, steady as they come. Both of those games are 6:40 first pitches. And then Wednesday will be 1:10. Will be Jake Irvin against Seth Lugo. That'll be his opportunity to bounce back. So we'll see what they have. You got two of your better starting pitchers on the mound here in this series, and we'll see what Falter does. We'll see what he does in Kauffman Stadium. I think the last time he pitched in Kauffman Stadium, he gave up that, insane 460-foot home run to Cags, but he's on our side now. So we'll see. Curtis, he's got a 5.43 ERA. We're screwed. Yeah. I don't know. We'll see. That is funny, but we'll see what this team has, man. Like they also could rip off a sweep, and we're having a different conversation. They're 61-60, and we'll see where they're at. I wouldn't be shocked either way. But if they come out and they're flat tomorrow on Monday, then they let Sunday beat them twice. And if that happens, then we're in a real rough spot. But we'll see what they have. I don't know. I think that's going to do it for tonight, everybody. I do appreciate those that have hung out, been a part of the conversation. The comments were awesome. The chat's been great. If you're an audio-only listener, do come over to YouTube. Come over, hang out here. When you do hop in the chat, let us know and be a part of the conversation. It's fun. Helps make things a lot more interesting. 20 days of college football. Listen, I am a huge college football fan, Chris. I'm obsessed with it. I'm going to be on my couch on Saturday the 30th watching, and we'll see. I'm not necessarily optimistic about my alma mater and how well they're going to do, but certainly just love watching the sport in general. Going to make my viewing experience a little bit interesting, trying to keep up with this and baseball and the NFL and college football and all that. I don't know. I'll figure it out. I always do. But I think that's going to do it for tonight. We'll toast game to Noah Cameron and Ryan Berger for 2 great starts. And Chris with a great point in the chat, Adam Frazier, 4-hit game today. Came up big early in the game, and he's sneaky been good in Kansas City. And I know that people made fun of the move and were frustrated that they traded for him. He's actually been a solid contributor for this team since coming back. So is what it is. We will talk. You guys will hear from me on Wednesday. Before we get out here, Taco, is Joel going to come out to the new booth to see Oklahoma State? Yes, I will be there. I don't know how that game is going to go. Maybe Haas Haney is amazing, and we'll see what happens. But certainly that'll be fun. And yes, I haven't seen Oklahoma State play a game live since like 23, so I will certainly be there. Trying to land the plane here, toast game, all those. Appreciate everybody. Like, rate, subscribe, review. And you guys will hear from me on Wednesday after the first 2 games of the National Series, live on Thursday. And we'll talk soon, everybody. Take care.